Hi, this is Gary Bowles, based in San Francisco. I'm really excited about bringing big ideas to people inside organizations, and I'm really honored to show you these videos by John Hagel and John Seely Brown. Enjoy.
We've talked a lot about kind of the title, The Power of Pull. What are the kinds of pull that we want to get into in this book?
Yeah, it's interesting because everybody obviously has their own kind of mental image when you say the word pull in terms of what they mean by it. What we've tried to do is provide a little bit of structure around that and really pull apart, if you will, 3 levels of pull that are becoming more and more central to our success. And the first level is probably the most straightforward and something we're all familiar with as we use tools like Google. It's basically the notion of searching for and accessing resources and people that would be most helpful to you. When you have a problem, ask a question, find the resources, and connect to them. That's important, and many of us in our daily lives have become very familiar with that kind of approach. The second level of pull starts to get a little more interesting. It's the notion of attracting people and resources. And this goes to the point that in a world that's changing so rapidly, we no longer even know what to ask for. Often the questions aren't very clear. And so what we need to be able to do is create situations where we can more effectively attract the people and resources that we aren't even aware of. But they become aware of us and they start to reach out to us to connect to us. And from our perspective, that's a key value of these social network platforms, is they do enhance that ability to attract and build more scalable networks of relationships over time.
So this second level of attract, if you wish, also gets into serendipity.
Yes.
But the catch here is almost all of us have grown up with the notion of serendipity, but I think the notion of serendipity applied in this context pulls you to a newer notion or a broader notion of serendipity in terms of what's the chance of being able to actually shape serendipity rather than just experience it.
Right. Well, I think there are two important elements of serendipity that we try to shift the attention to. One is that when many of us talk about serendipity, we tend to talk about it as unexpectedly encountering some knowledge, some data that we weren't aware of and that turns out to be very helpful to us. And while we certainly acknowledge that's an important form of serendipity, the kind of serendipity we're really engaged on is the notion of connecting with people, unexpected connections to people that we weren't aware of, in the sense, again, that starts to create the opportunity for flows. As we build relationships with those people, it's not just that we're getting one piece of knowledge that we weren't aware of. We're creating a possibility of a steady flow of new knowledge as we start to engage together around different ventures and initiatives. So that's one element of serendipity, is connecting unexpected connections to people versus objects or knowledge. Then the second one is this notion of shaping serendipity. We all tend to view serendipity as pure luck. The best thing you can do is be prepared for it when it happens, but you can't influence when and how it happens. Well, yes and no. As with most things, there's a grain of truth to that. Ultimately, serendipity does have an element of luck to it, but our belief is that you can, in fact, shape it in terms of increasing the probability and the quality of these unexpected encounters through choices you make. And it's as simple as choices about where you live, to choices about how you communicate the issues you're working on and start to make visible the kinds of challenges and passions you have. But there's a whole set of choices that we believe you can make that help to really increase the opportunity for those unexpected encounters with people. Yeah, I think that's the third level of pull that actually becomes most powerful and interesting, is how do you take those first 2 levels of pull, access and attract, and integrate them into these broader environments that allow you to learn faster as more people join. And that's really the notion of using pull in the form of pulling out of each of us our full potential. It's how do we more effectively achieve our full potential by working together in these creation spaces. And what we've done is go out and look at different environments that are emerging, everything from the extreme sports arena to online gaming to software development environments, where you're starting to see these collaboration curves emerge, which basically turn the experience curve that we all know from previous business practices from a diminishing returns curve into an increasing returns curve. And it requires a very different set of pull practices and institutions to really make that come alive. And we're still at the earliest stages of that third level of pull. But again, we can see early instances of that being deployed today.